Hey guys, it's David R. Becker here with BeckerArt, and I'm here to give you a nice tip about air compressors and airbrushes. Not air compressor like this. This is not what we're going to be talking about. This is what you can use if you're a professional airbrush artist. I'm going to talk to you a little bit today about these little small air compressors and airbrushes. Alright, so let's get going with showing you how, as a watercolorist, using your airbrush in your watercolor work. So here is what my two airbrushes look like. I have these two right here. I do have another one that I can use with the other big air compressor that has a bottle, and it has a little cup that I can use to fill up. And that's more with the bigger air compressor that I can use with a regulator. And that's all detailed and complicated, but what you want to do is just get yourself one of these little ones. These little guys have an air compressor that's really small like this or like this, and they work just as well as that one does, especially for what we're using it for. We're not doing anything really super complicated. All we're doing is spraying a mist of color over maybe your watercolor. And again, you can also use acrylics. You can use ink acrylics that already are sold as a bottle of liquid that has a color, or you can just use your palette like this. I'm going to show you in a second how to just use it into the airbrush. So I'm going to use this one. This one is a little bit more expensive. This one is about $75, and it has a lid, and it's a little bit bigger an airbrush. This one is a little bit smaller. I will have in the comment section, I will have links to Amazon where you can get some of these types of these, not exactly these, but close to them, because I think I bought these a while ago, so I'm not sure if they're on Amazon anymore, but there's ones just like it. And so what this one is, has a little bit of a well here that I'm going to fill up with a little bit of blue. Let me just show you here. And why do you want to use an airbrush, people ask? Well, a lot of times as a watercolorist, they have these things called atomizers. It's this thing right here that you would put into your little jar, and then blow in this little section right here, and then blow a mist of color over your paper. And so instead of using your mouth to blow it in there, or a lot of people put it into a spray bottle, which gives you more of a dot pattern. If you look up there, see how it's just a little bit more of a dots. Get a little dots in there, and so it's not really like a mist. It's more like little dots that you can get out of that. So, but instead, I want to use an airbrush to create a really fine mist. You can see up here, I already did a little bit of that up here by putting a really fine wash over it. And so what I'm going to do is I just take my brush, I put it into the blue here just so you can see, maybe a little bit of purple, and I'll mix a lot of the color very wet, and then I'll take my brush here and I'll rim it across the top of the rim of this little well, and it falls down into the little well, a cup. I guess it's a little cup on top of the airbrush, and you need enough water because it sprays out the watery pigment. So nice and wet, and so I'm gonna put enough in there so it lasts a little bit. And again, and then what you do is you just turn on your air compressor. This one has a little regulator here that is more air, less air. I just put all the way up to the top, and I find that to be fine. And you're going to practice first anyways. Like, don't do it right in your painting. Take a sheet of paper or a board or whatever like this. I can just take the board and I can just practice first. And the farther away you are, you pull this little lever. See, there's a little lever on there. You pull that back. The farther away you are, the more you get a fine spray. See that fine spray you get on there? The closer you get, you can actually make lines too. The closer you get. So, and the farther back you pull, the more it comes out. And you just practice that on a piece of paper. And then for here, I'm just going to make this a little bit darker. I just want to maybe put a little bit of blue over the front of this water to make it a little bit bluer, right? And so all I'm doing is taking that, maybe on the street here, it's a little bit light, so how about making those little puddles blue? Okay, I'm just making that blue. Now, there's another really good use of this, and that is with stencils. Artists have lately been using a lot of stencils I saw in their work also. And I found this all out in a show I went to, an exhibit. I went to a TWSA exhibit in Kenosha this last weekend. And what I saw is that a lot of people use airbrushing, they use stencils, and you use whatever you can to make your painting look beautiful. And so what I'm going to do here is I'm just going to use a little bit of this stencil. It's just a rectangular triangle, and there's a honeycomb. I'm going to use this start here, just a little bit of it down here, just like an abstract kind of shape in there. I use paper to cover up I'm going to use this little board that I used. I'm going to just cover up the little spot there so I don't get anything into that part of the painting. Turn on my air compressor. And all I'll do is I'll just real lightly, I'll practice on here first real quick to see if I got enough. And then I'm just going to take a little dark and make these little shapes. It's been really hard to make a darker color on with when it comes to the stencils, as it is a little bit harder when you're using a brush with water to make the stencil not be dirty. And so this is a great way of using an airbrush with the stencils to make your stencils work and not get wrecked by the water of that brush. Now you can take out paint, that's a lot easier with the magic eraser sponge. You can do that, but for putting in a darker wash over a stencil, the best way to do that I found is using an airbrush or an atomizer. But again, an atomizer is a little bit tougher to use. You just have to learn how to use it, and you got to breathe in there. And so here I'm just taking my my brush and just really lightly going over. And it's just going to it's not going to go underneath anything. It's just going to kind of blend that together a little bit there. And so I put a little bit of that in there. Why? It's still an abstract shape. Maybe I'll put some up here too, just to be like an abstract. A little bit of abstract shapes in there. I notice that some artists are doing that nowadays. They're putting these little abstract markings on their paintings. Alright, let's see what that looks like. You can see a little fine mist up here too, really fine. The thing is, the darker you want to get, you just use darker pigment. Just use a little bit more pigment of the dark colors, and then just you can get the soft edges. You can get hard edges depending on how close you get to the stencil. The stencils, some stencils even have a little bit of sticky backing on there that you can put it down, and it pulls it right against the paper. So that's what you can use an airbrush for. Very simple to use. Like I said, turn it on, put in paint, and start spraying away. And it's no big deal whatsoever to use one of these. And they're very inexpensive if you think about it. For a big air compressor, instead of a big air compressor, you get a small air compressor and the brush for about $45 on this one. And again, it'll be in the comment section of the video here. Alright, so have a great day, guys. And make sure you subscribe to my channel here. I'm going to try to give you more and more little tips like this with little different things to do with watercolor. So until next time, I'll see you guys later, alright? Bye-bye.